Thinking about adding some secondhand Ralph Lauren to your wardrobe? Something like this. But worried about fakes and counterfeits? Something like that? Well, stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll be much more confident, or at least aware of the dangers, at shopping for one of the best brands to buy pre-owned. Thanks for tuning in to Coyote Sharp. So I've had multiple requests to cover this topic, but I've been a bit hesitant to jump in. Somewhat out of a fear of putting out bad information, and also just the daunting task of covering such a thick, deep, murky, tricky subject. Because between the increasing skill of counterfeiters and the 5+ decades of mass production in various markets using I don't know how many different factories resulting in a bunch of different tags, all with their own idiosyncrasies, the idea of creating an extensive, comprehensive kind of one-stop shop guide is just overwhelming. And I don't think I could put something out that I was 100% confident was all accurate, because though I am pretty good at spotting fakes, I guarantee I could still be duped. So instead, this is just more of a training guide and how to go about inspecting a piece and the inconsistencies to look for that can tip you off to it being fake. And it's also kind of exposure therapy, as in exposure to both the real and the fake in hopes of training your brain to spot these inconsistencies and off patterns when you're shopping by yourself. And I'm gonna break the video into these 5 sections. In section 1, we're gonna do some tag training. In section 2, we're gonna talk Polo pony inspection. In section 3, I'm going to break or tear down some fake listings. In section 4, we're gonna talk QR codes and their limitations. And in section 5, we're gonna examine some fake and real pieces from my closet. So I'm gonna jump in here real quick and just give you my overall risk assessment of the marketplace. Like, how worried do you have to be about running into fake Ralph Lauren? And ultimately, I'd say it's not that risky, but there are some riskier areas. So if you're interested in buying some of today's really popular items, and by today's, I mean anything made within the last 3-4 years with that blue and yellow tag, and by popular, we're talking about polo shirts, cable knit sweaters, quarter zip sweaters, anything with the polo bear on it, puff jackets, puff vests, hats. That stuff tends to be faked a lot, or faked the most. And it makes sense because it's the most popular stuff. It's also some of the stuff that's toughest to detect as a fake. Another area to be extra cautious in is the late 80s, early 90s iconic, really highly coveted streetwear pieces that often sell for like over $1,000. Like, you gotta be extra careful in there. But everywhere else, it's pretty safe. Like, if you're just out shopping for some sweater like this made 10, 15 years ago, the chances of it being fake are very low. And the fakes that you do run into outside of those 2 categories that I mentioned are generally obviously fake. So, also where you shop kind of matters. Now, I've found fake Ralph Lauren on all the selling platforms, but some seem to be worse than others. On sites like eBay and Poshmark, I don't see a ton of fakes. They are out there, but pretty low density. But on sites like Etsy, Grailed, Vinted, Facebook Marketplace, there's gonna be more fakes. And with that, let's jump in. So when it comes to determining whether a piece is real or fake, one of the most important elements to inspect is the tag. It's what my eyes go to first. So having an idea of what right looks like is important, so I'm gonna show you a bunch of legit RL tags to kind of imprint that in your brain. Okay, so now I'm gonna test to see if you can spot fake RL tags. So grab something to write with. And I'm gonna show you a mixed bag. There's gonna be some real stuff, there's gonna be some fake stuff, and just note the stuff that's real and the stuff that's fake. So how'd you do? Hope you got a few right. But if you didn't get them all, don't feel bad because it's tricky and it takes some time to train your eye to spot these inconsistencies. Now, some of these are obviously fake, and I don't think we need to spend much time diving into why they are fake. So I'm gonna jump in here and add a little context. So it might not be obvious to some that these are fake, and understandably so, especially if you're new to Ralph Lauren. But relatively speaking, these are gimmies because this particular legit Ralph Lauren tag was uber prevalent for like 30 years and is still used today. So when you see goofy ones like this, they just really stand out. But some of these, especially these newer blue and yellow tags, it's tough. It's tough to spot what about them shows that they're fake. But I did find this Reddit post that has a great picture. I'm sorry for the person who this purchase didn't work out for, but they provided a great learning lesson for a lot of people. So this person bought a polo sweater off Vinted and they think it's fake and they put it up on Reddit and they're asking people to think it's fake and they put up this picture sandwiching the fake one in between two legit Ralph Lauren sweaters. And it really shows what you need to look for in a fake. So look at the embroidering of the middle one. It's clearly not as tight and clean as the ones above and below it. You can just see it's not as nice. And that's what you need to look for is that embroidering. Look how tight and clean the embroidering is. Because at first glance, it doesn't look that different. And if you were new, you'd be like, oh, I don't know, it looks fine. But when put next to a legit tag, you can really see it. And the Ralph Lauren looks kind of wobbly and wonky. And yeah. Here's another close-up of one of the fakes next to a legit tag. So the embroidering on this fake isn't terrible, but when put next to a legit one, you can see the subtle difference, especially in the Ralph Lauren. And sometimes you need that side-by-side comparison for inferior quality or off font to stand out. Also, look at the stitching and alignment. The fake one's stitching is encroaching on the letters and basically hitting the R, major red flag. And overall, it just looks like less effort was put into aligning all the different tag pieces. All right, moving on. Polo pony time. Okay, so basically every guide I looked at when researching for this video had a section on the polo pony and they talked about how important the polo pony was, so I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the polo pony. Now, though I do think the polo pony is important to consider and it could be a dead giveaway that something's fake, it's not to me the most practical thing to inspect always because it's small. And oftentimes sellers don't have an up-close picture of the polo pony. And you have to request that picture, and that's annoying. And also, I think the counterfeiters are better at making a somewhat legit looking polo pony as they are at making a somewhat legit looking tag. So I found this TikTok video here that of a seller or someone comparing a fake and a real Ralph Lauren polo, and they have this close-up of the two polo ponies, and the one on the left is the fake. And you can see that it's the fake. Look at these big stitch loops here on the polo mallet. That's a pretty dead giveaway. Also, the tail is off. So it seems like the counterfeiters have a hard time imitating this unique little nubby tail. It always looks different. So that's a good thing to look for, is the tail. Also, just overall, the embroidering isn't as good as this one here. But still, they did a pretty good job. Like, it's tough to spot that. Like, you kind of have to have a bit of a trained eye to spot that. And unless you're up close, you're not gonna spot it. Like, from way back, like you're gonna be like, it's hard to tell. I'm not sure I could tell from this far back. Maybe I could. But if you scroll through this video more and you look at the tag on these two shirts, oh my God. It's clearly obvious this top one is fake. That is a terrible, terrible tag. The stitching is terrible. Look at this sloppy stitching here. The embroidering is terrible. And it says made in USA. Ralph Lauren hasn't made polo shirts in the USA in a long time. So in this example here, the tag is just a more of a dead giveaway. Now, sometimes the polo ponies are terrible and the tags are better, but it seems to me usually the tag is worse than the polo pony. But sometimes it's the other way. Okay, moving on. Okay, so though tags and the polo pony are important when it comes to determining whether something is real or fake, it doesn't tell the whole story. So I'm going to show you 3-4 fake listings and just kind of tear them apart and show why they're fake and point out other inconsistencies to look for. All right, let's find a good one here. Okay, we're starting off pretty easy here with this supposedly double RL shirt on eBay. You don't see this a lot on eBay. It's pretty rare to see this. So first off, here's the first thing. Shirt says it's a double RL shirt. And that tag looks off from this far. And then it also has a polo pony. You're not gonna see that. You're not gonna see the polo pony on a double RL item. At least I've never seen it. So that's the first thing that you should be like, that seems off. Next, the tag. This tag was in the batch of bad ones that I showed you earlier. Also, if you look at that L on the size tag, that's not centered. That's another little thing. Okay, then we look at this here. Look at this stitching. This is some terrible, terrible, I don't know about terrible, terrible, but it's some sloppy stitching. Double RL is gonna have really tight, clean stitching. This stuff is very shoddy. This thing is fake as all fake can be. All right, let's find another one. All right, so we've got this shirt here. So right off the bat, I'm looking at the pattern of this shirt and I'm like, what is going on with the body of this? Like, what is this? First thing that seems off. Next, I'm looking at this size tag, or the tag isn't centered. Okay, another little thing. Now let's look at the tag. Oh, that is a sloppy tag. Sloppily stitched on, sloppy embroidering, and also the size tag is a different color from the actual tag. Usually they're the same color. Always, it seems. What else? I'm seeing this US Polo with some sloppy embroidering here. US Polo, I don't know if I've ever seen that. Like, what is that? I've never seen that before. Also, another thing to look at this shirt. This is a vintage shirt and it's pit to pit 22 inches. It's an XL. A vintage XL Ralph Lauren shirt is gonna be like 27 inches pit to pit. This thing's like a medium. So something else to look out for. All right, let's find something else. Here's an interesting one. So it looks like this seller ended this piece. All right, so at first glance, you see some rich indigo color and some nice white stitching that creates this contrast. You're like, oh, that's kind of cool. It's a vest, and maybe it was a jacket that had the arms removed. But let's start inspecting. All right, that tag looks, that's a looking tag, and it's just kind of flappity-dappity on. It's not actually sewn to the whole body of the piece. That's something that's off. But the biggest giveaway, it's a Polo Ralph Lauren jacket with a Polo jeans branding on it. Not gonna happen. Polo jeans is a sub brand. They're not gonna put that label or branding on a Polo Ralph Lauren shirt. This is similar to that double RL example. Also, let's look at this sloppy embroidering on the Polo jeans. That's some sloppy embroidering. Not so good. But you might be fooled just because at first glance it's kind of striking. It's nice. It's got a nice rich indigo color to it. Like I said, with the white stitching creating that contrast, initially you might be kind of taken by it. But closer inspection, you realize this thing is fake. All right, let's do one that is a little trickier. Okay, so look at this here Polo shirt that I found on Grailed. At first glance, it looks a little off. For one thing, this Polo pony looks a little big. What else? This tag. This is a tag. This is an example of the fake tags from earlier in the tag section. And you can see this tag. Look at that. Look at that embroidering. That is not tight embroidering. I'll put up a picture of a real Ralph Lauren tag to compare it, but the embroidering is going to be much tighter on a legit tag. This has these kind of like horizontal stripes, and it just doesn't look as clean, doesn't look as tight. What else? Okay, look at the button. On this button, it says Ralph-Lauren Polo, all one word. Nope. Dead giveaway. And also, when you look at this seller, and they have some other stuff on here, and they have this picture, these are all fake as well, I believe. But when we look at, he has these all laid out in this picture here. Look at the Polo pony. Here you can clearly see that Polo pony is way too big. Look at these things. They're huge. Nope. This is some fake stuff. But it's a little trickier to spot. Let's look at some other things on these. On this Polo shirt here, the buttons are embossed with Polo Jeans Co. Nope. Fake. Another good picture of a tag that doesn't have tight embroidering. Fake. And you know what kills me? Is that this seller is labeled a trusted seller. What? Are you kidding me? This is not a trusted seller. All right, I'm gonna jump in here quick and cover this piece as well. So we got this jacket that is just covered with Polo ponies. And that's a lot of Polo ponies. First red flag. Let's keep scrolling. All right, we have the tag. Now I included this tag in the tag section, but again, this tag is off, just feels off. Something seems weird about it. You can see how this double XL is encroaching into the main body of the tag, which is off. Also, there are these two rips at the top of the pockets, like clearly that's a weak spot in this jacket, and you just don't typically see that when the rest of the jacket doesn't look that bad, and you've got these two rips right here. Like, that's a red flag. But probably the most definitive thing that shows it's a fake is the fact that they're calling this thing 100% cotton, exclusive of decoration. But if you scroll through and you look at the lining here, look at this lining. That lining is most certainly 100% polyester Sherpa. That is not cotton. So, just another inconsistency to look for. Next up, look at this piece we have here. So this is someone trying to copy some late 80s, early 90s, kind of that coveted streetwear, that category that I talked about earlier being risky. First glance, looks okay. As we scroll through, things look a little sloppy to me though, but it's not super evident. Let's keep going though. Boom, look at this. What is this? What is this tag? What is this care tag right here? Hamilton 100%? I've never seen that before. That to me right there, immediate red flag. I'm like, nope, I'm now maybe this piece is legit. Maybe they, for some market, they use this tag, but what? It just, to me, I'd say no. I would not buy this piece. Though it's not super evident. Like the tag, that's not a terrible tag. The tag doesn't scream fake. But the big thing that throws me is that tag. Another detail that gives me pause is that the seller is located in Malaysia. To be clear, Many reputable sellers operate from Malaysia selling legit stuff. However, I have noticed a good number of fake Ralph Lauren listings from this region. Now, I could be wrong, and if I am wrong, bring it up, but I wouldn't buy this piece. Okay, so I hope that's helpful in showing that though tags are super helpful in determining if something's fake, and so is the Polo pony, sometimes you have to look at the entire listing and the entire piece to kind of get an idea if it's fake. And just look for all these little clues and signs that will make you go, that seems off. And maybe some of this stuff is real. Maybe it is. I'm not 100% sure, but I'll tell you one thing, I wouldn't buy it. So take that for what it's worth. Well, let's move on. Okay, so in 2019, 2020-ish, Ralph Lauren started adding QR codes to their clothes. They attached them to the tag or they printed it on the actual fabric. And it was intended to both improve their visibility with their supply chain and also to combat counterfeiters, because ideally someone can scan the QR code and it'll bring them to Ralph Lauren's website and I say, oh, this is an authentic piece. Great, wonderful. But apparently it's not quite that simple. So, a few things to know. One, just because a piece has that barcode doesn't mean it's automatically legit. Counterfeiters can easily just print a copy of the barcode and attach it to the label, and that's not hard to do. Now the question is whether or not they can actually copy the information on the barcode. Like they can make it so you scan that barcode and it sends you to Ralph Lauren's website. This is where it gets murky, and this is where I'm not entirely sure. Now, I found this Reddit called Couture Reps, or Couture Replicas, which is just a euphemism for counterfeit stuff. And they have a post talking about the QR code, and this, what appears to be a professional counterfeiter, talks about how you can kind of skirt the QR code. Now, I'm not going to dissect all this because honestly, I just don't understand it enough at this point in time. I'm not a tech person. But what I take away is this. Just because you scan a piece and it says it's authentic, chances are it probably is authentic, but still check the other elements like the tag and the stitching and the embroidering. Because all it takes is for one thing to be off. For you to be like, oh, red flag. Nope, something's off. It just takes one thing to be off. Another thing to know, so I've read accounts of people scanning legit pieces and having this pop up, which is frustrating. This might be from the piece or particular style being scanned too much and losing its verification. Also, not sure if certain fake pieces when scanned will also give you this same message. So basically all this uncertainty just reinforces the importance of checking other components of a piece to confirm legitimacy. I say all this just to caution you, not freak you out. All right, let's move on. Okay, so now I'm going to show you 3 pieces from my closet. 2 that are fake, 1 that I'm 99% sure is real, but when I was buying it, I was nervous about, and some of the steps I took to reassure myself. So let's start with this beauty right here. This thing's nice. So I bought this back when I knew very little about clothes and I had just started thrifting, but I thought it was so cool. I was like, that thing is so cool in an ironic way. And I did this stupid, silly photo shoot, and it kind of put Ralph Lauren on the map to me as this cool vintage brand, even though it's a very much a fake piece. This thing is so fake, and I don't know what it says about me that I didn't spot this from a mile away as being fake, but it just goes to show you, if you don't know what to look for, you're just kind of like, yeah, sure. First off, look at that label. Way off center. Next, embroidering on the label looks off. Next, size tag. What is this white size tag? That looks off. That's off. Also, just the construction of the shirt. This thing is so poorly made. The embroidering is absolutely terrible. Just everything. The material feels so cheap and synthetic. This thing is so fake. But I kind of love it. I do. All right, moving on. Now we got this beauty right here. So I bought this when I was still fairly new at buying Ralph Lauren clothes, and I kind of thought it was fake. I was like, the thing seems off. That doesn't seem right. But I reversed Google image searched it, and I found someone else selling it for like $500, and it had a bunch of likes or hearts. And I was like, maybe it's real. Maybe this is just some weird design or some weird tag or some weird something, and it's real. So I bought it. And then I was still nervous about it, and I got it, and I was like, this thing seems off. And then I kind of tested on Instagram, and I was like, hey, do people think this is real or fake? And people are like, it's fake. And now looking at it, I can clearly tell that this thing is fake. I might be wrong, but I'll expand on that in a second. For now, here's why I think it is fake. First off, tag, sloppy stitching on the tag. Now, this tag is not terrible. Like, the tag alone, it's not great. The embroidering's a little thin on this here, made in Singapore, but it's not terrible. But that 100% cotton, that looks off to me. It looks off to me. But again, these are all pretty subtle things. The least subtle thing is this sloppy white stitching around it. But still, not so clear. But the dead giveaway with this jacket is just the sloppy stitching and construction. For one thing, they have these stitchers, zippers, and Ralph Lauren is not going to expose this just generic white. At least I've never seen them do it. They're going to have some type of fabric over top of it, but no, they just have it right there. Also, if you look at the stitching here, so sloppy. Look at how sloppy this stitching is. Also, they have this redundant closing system. So they have a button and then they have Velcro. Like, what kind of design is this? But I have to give myself a little bit of slack in thinking that this thing might be real, because the design is kind of intricate. Like, they put some work into it. Like, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of pockets here, and it has a Ralph Lauren feel. It has that kind of, outdoorsy, sportsman, aspirational feel, though I don't know what kind of hunter or outdoorsman is going to wear a denim jacket, but maybe. So I'll give myself a little slack, because I did think, I was like, this thing might be fake, but I took a shot on it and it was fake. And it happens. No big deal. Now I'm kind of stuck with it and I don't know what to do with it. This is a good example of where the tag itself might not be a dead giveaway, but construction will really tell you what's going on. All right, so I got to jump again in here real quick, because I'm starting to second guess if this jacket is real or fake. This video has truly been frustrating, because just when I think I have a product that I am confident that is as accurate as I can make it, I see something new or learn something new, and I start to question myself. So I'm getting ready to release this video, and I'm going, you know what, let me do another reverse Google image search of this jacket just to see what's out there. And there's a good number of them for sale. And some of them have some pretty convincing listings. So check out this jacket on eBay. Selling for $650. It has 20 hearts. And the seller is saying that it was their grandfather's fishing jacket. Now, they could just be saying that, or perhaps it was their grandfather's fishing jacket and old Gramps was wearing a fake. Possibility. But check out this listing here. So this is from a seller in Japan. And on theirs, there's a Bergdorf Goodman tag sewn underneath the Ralph Lauren tag. Interesting. Again, they could have just sewn that on there, but still. Or check out this listing here on Etsy that's sold. Same jacket, just a few subtle differences. Looks like the thread is a different color, and it looks like the zippers are a different color. Also, the tag is different. Now, I'm much more familiar with this tag. This tag, I'm like, yep, that looks like a legit tag. Compared to my jacket and some of these other listings, the tag is, it's a little like, I'm not confident either way. So, I don't know. Internet, is this jacket real or fake? Either way, it's kind of a win-win for me, because if it is a fake, then all that stuff I said about it being fake, and I said it with such confidence, isn't BS and completely undermine my credibility to speak on this topic. But if it is real, I've got myself a pretty valuable piece of clothing on my hands. You know, not bad. But regardless if this thing is real or fake, I still stand by my assessment of it having some shoddy construction and questionable design features. All right, let's move on to the legit piece. All right, so this is the third piece that I'm 99% sure is legit, but I was nervous about when buying. So this is a vintage Ralph Lauren Polo country sweatshirt. I'm a big fan of these. And a lot of people are big fans of these. They typically sell for a lot. And I saw this one on eBay a while back from a seller in Japan. And I'd never seen this specific colorway. And I was like, ooh, check out that. And I reverse Google image searched it. And I saw that this was basically the only one. It was the only one. I couldn't find another one of these. Also, it was priced pretty low. It was priced like half of what these typically sell for. So I was like, oof, I don't know. Maybe it's a fake. So I investigated more and I looked at the tag. And the tag has this kind of unique color contrast that you just don't see a lot. You don't see a green tag with red thread a lot. And when you look at thousands of Ralph Lauren tags and then you see something you don't see a lot, red flags go off. You're like, oh, I don't see that a lot. Something seems off. Why is this price so low? Why can't I find another one on the internet? Like, what's going on here? And though it was cheap, it wasn't like cheap. It was still pretty expensive. So I was nervous and I reached out to the seller and I said, hey, is this thing legit? And they're like, yes, it's legit, but a seller can say whatever they want. So I was like, what am I going to do? Then a little common sense kicked in. And I went and looked at another Ralph Lauren Polo, vintage Ralph Lauren Polo country sweatshirt I have. And I looked at the tag and I saw that they used the same color thread to sew on the tag as the upper. So this tag was sewn on with this color, just like this one was done. So that consistency right there reassured me enough to buy it. And once I got it and I felt the quality of it and I felt the weight of the fabric and I felt the way it fit and I put it on and saw how it fit, I, for the most part, confirmed that this thing is legit. And again, I know this is common sense, but sometimes we just don't think to do that stuff. So just a little bit of some of the thought process I went through to confirm that this thing was real. All right, so before wrapping things up, I just want to mention a few things. For one, if you're still here, thanks for sticking with me. I appreciate your patience. I understand this hasn't been the tightest video and I've had to go back and insert things and I second guess myself and there's stuff that's not concrete. But that's just the nature of covering this topic because it's tough. It's tough. You know, I came into this video pretty confident and now I'm like, oof, boy, it's a thick, deep, murky world. And there's more for me to learn. Second thing, I hope this video didn't completely freak you out and now you're terrified to ever buy pre-owned Ralph Lauren. Again, the chances of you running into a fake are pretty low, especially if you're not shopping in those two categories. Now, I know I didn't get into the weeds in how to spot fakes or really sophisticated fakes in those two categories, because honestly, I think I need to do some more research and there's much more to cover, like tag numbers and all this other stuff, and I'm just not quite there yet. But I do hope this video has been helpful. Also, if you think some of the information I'm putting out is wrong, bring it up. Because ultimately, I just want to inform consumers. And with that, thanks for tuning in to Coyote Sharp. See you next time.